Today we're talking about the Update 10.0 New Refines. Book 10 starts off with new skills for Riev, Orochi, Malice, Harmonic Myrrh, and last is Hapi. We'll talk about everyone's new skills and discuss some general build ideas. First up, Riev is a Grand Hero Battle Blue Infantry Mage. He's got the classic high tech and res the red mage bad guys usually have. Now, Riev's Argent aura was decent, all things considered, so let's see how the Refine worked out. At start of either phase, inflict -6 to all stats, stall, sabotage, and discord onto the slowest foe, and anyone within 2 spaces. Riev has Slaying and will get +6 attack and res with +5 speed and defense. Last, he makes a free follow-up attack. First off, a trend starting out with the 10.0 refines, and well, I guess recent new heroes as well, is that activation conditions are kinda just gone. Yeah, I don't know, the devs got tired of writing out if above 25% HP, so now everyone's weapons kinda just work all the time. Back to Riev, his debuffs now proc on either phase. They got bumped up to -6 to all stats, and he tacked on Sabotage to double up, plus you got Discord for even more debuffing. Like before, Riev targets the slowest enemy, not the closest, so do be aware of that. Also, like before, Riev is a free-to-play unit with stall, which honestly still isn't that common these days, despite every infantry unit running a +1 movement skill. Now, ironically, every player just got a free unit with Gallop, and I guess cause the devs are lazy or don't care, stall does not affect Gallop's +2 movement. Sigurd and Alphonse will not be affected. Now, in terms of combat, Riev is a rare Grail unit with Slaying, and he did get a follow since he's not that fast. For the Refine, as mentioned, there are no conditions. Riev gets another +5 stats, he deals 20 true damage, he gets 7 flat damage reduction, and gets Preempt Pulse's -1 instant cooldown. Similar to the 3rd gen arcanes, Riev has a Slaying plus Preempt Pulse weapon, which is quite nice. He also gets 20 true damage, which is closer to the 4th gen arcanes, although the 7 flat TR is still that 3rd gen standard. Overall, Riev added to his debuff support and got some standard combat perks. As a classic sit in the back and debuff type mage, Riev is fine with the Pulse Deploy build since he also has decent res. Having Slaying and Preempt Pulse also allows Riev to charge up those 4 or 5 cooldown special nukes faster than other free-to-play options. Riev can definitely utilize Ice Wall or Comet for % DR, and we got Magic Light or Frost Moon for DR piercing. Since he has Slaying, Riev can also set up the Ice Wall plus Lagoose Friend combo. You just need a -1 cooldown effect like Pulse Up or Times Pulse. Now, since it deploys 3 statuses, Riev can also just use Creation Pulse and instantly charge 4 cooldown specials outright. For example, he can initiate and proc Ice Wall or Frost Moon, which is pretty spicy for a free-to-play unit. Now, in terms of other cooldown skills, Riev can use Silence Ward and tack on LC Disrupt support. Conjuring Breath gives Breath type cooldown, so you don't need Heavy Blade. We also got Times Pulse Sacred Seals or the Echo version, so this old man has a lot of cooldown options. To take advantage, pre-charging AoEs is another option, or Riev could try the brand new Logic Mage special. It's 5 cooldown, scales off attack, and gives -1 cooldown if they fail as a penalty, which Riev should be inflicting. I mean, Logic plus Creation Pulse plus Argent Aura would give -5 cooldown total, same with Comet actually. While Logic and Comet are 40% damage reduction options, perhaps a one-shot KO out of nowhere might be the main draw. Now, if you want to run cooldown heavy builds, finish A skills, B skills, or Sacred Seals can tack on more true damage. Aria can go even further, especially with the 4 or 5 cooldown specials. For another cooldown skill that is more support oriented, Riev could run Favor. He covers all 4 stat debuffs and has Sabotage plus Discord, so running Havoc or Discord B skills might be a waste. Instead of stacking debuffs, he could stack buffs for the team, but favors Empathy and Field buffs plus its free cooldown effect. Throw in a Rally for more coverage. Now, if you want more support skills, Infantry Pulse 4 could help the team, or you could do Conto Control to impede mobility on top of Stall. In conclusion, Riev's Refine is pretty decent. Stall is definitely useful, and his -6 debuffs plus Sabotage is nasty if not neutralized. Besides sitting around, Riev having actual cooldown perks definitely stands out for free-to-play mages. He has a lot more enticing special options nowadays to put all that cooldown to use. Next up is Orochi, a green infantry mage demote, and she's another high attack and res unit like Riev. Orochi's Tiger Spirit grants a flat +3 res, and like Riev, Orochi cuts activation conditions. She gets +6 attack and res, +5 speed and defense, 20 true damage, and 7 flat DR. Orochi prevents 1 follow-up attack, and after combat she inflicts panic on foes within 2 spaces. Basically, Tiger Spirit added more stats, more true damage, more flat DR, and follow-up denial, It keeps its panic smoke effect, and I'm honestly kind of disappointed they didn't really upgrade it or anything. Now onto the Refine. For foes within 3 rows or columns, Orochi inflicts -5 stats, she neutralizes their field boss, and foes take a free flop attack. Last, Orochi gets 50% DR piercing for all her hits. Orochi doesn't have a rare status like Stall, but she's got that long-range Crux effect with the low effect tacked on. I guess they gave her low to handle full boss before fighting, and then you get panic after fighting. Now instead of cooldown, Orochi has DR piercing and Omni Breaker. Doesn't hurt to stop follow-up skills, but Orochi isn't the fastest, so be ready for speedy units with no follow-up to just double her no problem. Unlike Riev, who has a lot of field debuffing, Orochi has in-combat support effects. With her decent res, she too can run the res comparing debuff skills, including Pulse Deploy for free cooldown. Orochi could use Havoc or Discord to apply field debuffs to stack with her in-combat ones. Generally, I like Havoc better because you get Conta 1. Now Crystalline or Stillwater can be used for flat res stacking. Without Slaying, it will be tougher to run the Ice Wall plus the Goose Friend combo, although Emblem Mart could solve that issue. For a more aggressive build, Orochi could run Conjuring Breath and try to follow up while using the 40% DR specials to tank a hit. This is a little risky, especially against anything physical, and it would require Orochi to get hit back if you want to trigger things like the new Logic Special. Now for a faster pre-charging build, you could stack Comet and Pulse-Ups -1 free cooldown. If you can get another -1 cooldown from somewhere, she could charge that special in 2 turns. Logic and Conjuring Breath are both player phase focused. If you either go for mixed phase, then Comet plus something like Havoc might be better. If you wanted to try a speed build, then you could also use Pair Up for a general true damage and flat DR skill. For other skills, Orochi could run the lower cooldown Magic Light or Flare specials. We got other cooldown skills like Pulse On, Heavy Blade, or Tempo. Like Riev, you could run support skills such as Rally plus Ruse, Favor, or Silence Ward. Now, we did just get a brand new Arcane Green Tome called Suttunger's Mystery from Rearmed Lysithea. Compared to Tiger's Spirit, it grants roughly 5 more stats, 5 more true damage, and 8 more flat DR. It also comes with Slang. Instead of the low Crux effect, Suttunger's has -7 speed and res debuffs, Panic and Discord. Arguably a better Panic effect, although foes can utilize the debuffs, whereas they would need the harder to get feud effect for Tiger Spirit's debuffing aura. Orochi will also lose Omnibreaker if you go with the Arcane Tome. Personally, I would say Tiger Spirit isn't a clear choice over the 4th Arcane option, but it's good enough that I think if you like the Crux support effect, then Orochi can make it work instead of inheriting a brand new weapon. If the Refine isn't impressive enough to you though, well then the shiny new option is on the new banner right now. The first old 5-star unit is Malice, who is a speedy swordmaster. One of her main competitors is actually going to be herself, funnily enough. Now, Spendy Scimitar gets a nice and simple update. This is a slang weapon, and Malice gains stats in combat based on how many dragon flowers she has. As long as she gets paid at all, she gets +6 stats in combat. If you give Malice 2 dragon flowers, then she gets full tempo. For new base effects, Malice deals 20 true damage and gets 15 flat damage reduction. If you're giving Malice her Refine, you probably have dragon flowers on her, so stats and tempo should be a given. Like the other units, we're slapping true damage and flat DR on everyone. For the Refine part, at start of either phase, Malice gives +6 attack and speed, dodge, and lull statuses to herself and allies within 2 spaces. She also gets another +10 to all stats in combat, and gets -2 instant cooldown before the foe attacks. If this seems familiar, that's because it is. Earlier this year, Johanna Malice was a sword infantry with attack and speed buffs, dodge, and debuff neutralization support. She also got the Lagoon's Friend -2 instant cooldown. Besides shifting from debuff neutralization to enemy buff neutralization, the two Malices are pretty similar. The biggest difference is that Johanna Malice has built-in damage reflection, which has been the hot trend for 2025. That's even spicier now that we got reflex support. Generally speaking, Malice's Refine is alright, just not that new, especially for those that have her Johanna ult. Thanks to Slang and the instant cooldown, Malice is able to pre-charge Gust or Godlike reflexes before getting hit. She can activate their percentage effects without Lagoon's Friend. Since earlier this year, we've gotten more instant cooldown skills like Faith, which will stack with Spendy Scimitar, and you could ready Arch Rival or Comet in time for a counterattack. Since Malice has Tempo, the enemy's attack will give her -1 cooldown. She has Slang, which is another -1, and then she gets -3 instant cooldown before getting hit with Faith, so that primes Arch Rival. The only downside to running Faith is that there's only an attack and speed variant, which Malice already buffs herself with. If we get a defensive res variant, then you could buff all 4 stats and run bonus doubler skills. Now, if you want the bulwark and the in-combat stats though, Faith is still pretty okay to keep. If you can outsource -1 cooldown from say Time's Pulse Echo, then Malice could also swap to Brutal Tempest that may be preferred for initiation builds using things like Excel or Duelist Blow. On the topic of initiations, Potent Finish would be nice for the extra hits, or you could run Execution Breath. For more general defensive builds, D-Bonus Doubler or Amp for just encounter is fine. Nelsia Void would be great for that, and its Phantom Speed effect would help the dodge status. As a faster unit, try to get Malice no follow-up to avoid doubles from enemies. It won't stop patience, but typically no follow-up's just nice to have. Now if you want to deal with other speedy enemies, you could use Lagu's Loyalty, but I think pair up is just superior. Not only is Malice harder to double, she could get debuff neutralization to pair with low, and you get good true damage and flat dare effects that get stronger versus brave hits. Archrival or Comet plus pair up should be a pretty nice combo. For other skills, Infantry always have a lot to choose from. Time's Pulse or Flashing Blade for cooldown. Malice might be able to mess around with Pulse On type skills, or she might be able to stack Instant cooldown to get double Gust procs. You got Perfect Attack and Speed or Infantry No Follow 4 instead of the No Follow Up Sacred Seal. Clasher Prime for stat boosters, and there is a new Sacred Seal line starting with this update with Squad Ace CW. Instead of plus 5 HP, plus 3 attack and speed, CW updates the skill line to plus 6 HP and plus 4 attack and speed. Still a decent generalized seal if you want some offensive stats and more HP. Overall, Malice is a serviceable sword infantry unit, though it's kind of funny that she competes with herself in terms of unique effects on hand. Infantry did get a lot of new skills to mess around with this year, and Malice can certainly utilize all the new skills for a refine. The season of Refine goes to Harmonic Myrrh and Gnaw this month. This Myrrh is a flying colorless dragon, and it's kind of funny that Legendary Myrrh already got her Refine remix, yet this Myrrh is an older unit. They do share a couple similarities. Lilac-Jade Breath now has Concept 2 and is a sling weapon. Myrrh gets plus 5 stats in combat and deals 20 true damage. She gets 40% regular DR for all hits, including AoE specials. Myrrh then gets 15 flat DR that is doubled against specials, and both effects also work against AoEs. Essentially, Myrrh gets the true damage and flat DR updates, but she has Excel type flat DR. Myrrh also has 40% damage reduction and 30 flat DR that will work on AoE specials, which isn't that common. The Concept 2 add-on is also appreciated for a flyer. Now for the actual refine, at start of either phase, Myrrh grants Empathy, Warp Bubble, and IO Shield to allies within 2 spaces. She gets plus 5 Phantom Res, along with a plus 10 to all stats in combat. Myrrh now has built-in Scowl with the Res comparison condition. Similar to Legendary Myrrh, this also shares Warp Bubble with the team. The Harmonize skill used to be how this Myrrh gets IO Shield, but she just has it all the time now. Empathy will add in-combat stats, and Myrrh now has Scowl access. The flying bearers are still kinda in a weird spot where melee flyers don't really have a lot of tank skills. One of the more unfortunate aspects is that Myrrh does not have access to a guaranteed % tier special like Archrival or Comet. She has to rely on dragon specials that require a special to be ready. Myrrh is not going to pre-charge her special, and Scout uncharges the enemy special, which means she doesn't get any % DR on the first hit she takes. She'll have her regular 40% DR though, but that might get pierced down to 20%. It is a little awkward if we're being honest. To work with what we have, Myrrh can use Dragon Scales to get -1 instant cooldown before getting hit. She would be able to pre-charge 2 cooldown defense specials like Escutcheon or Sacred Cowl, but those only cover melee or ranged matchups. It's not unpierceable DR, but you could run the counter Roar Sacred Seal for a little more regular % DR on the first hit taken. Another use of the -1 cooldown can be to charge Dragon's Roar for the counter attack. If you can get Breath type cooldown from an ally, you could upgrade to the 4 cooldown Dragon Flame or Dragon Ice. Some other benefits of Dragon Scales is that Myrrh gets a follow-up attack and she gets 50% piercing. This skill also inflicts res debuffs if Myrrh runs a defense or res comparison from start of combat. That could help with inflicting Scowl, and Myrrh could run fortifications or stronghold to stack more flat res. Now for other defensive skills, Myrrh can run even res wave D for res buffs and another Scowl effect. There is also Scowl A skills or Echo if you really want to stack it further. If you want distant counter, distant attack and defense form is good, or you can go with the Echo / Sacred Seal. When it comes to offensive skills, Myrrh could opt for Slide Mirror or Slide Sturdy Blow for a follow-up attack. There was also Momentum, which could grant instant cooldown. Myrrh can give a follow-up support with Crux C skills or the Echo version. If you wanted to invest in speed, Edge Scales gives no follow-up and could be a fun option with things like Frozen. Null Uplift from Volley is a no follow-up skill that can also be used by allies. With Dragonflower's Emerges, Myrrh can also run Patience. The follow-up denial would be nice, and Myrrh could get a guaranteed follow-up attack with that potent hit. Now if you wanted to lean into more support skills, then besides Crux, good old guidance skills would be fine, and Hold Guide can allow Myrrh to abuse warping herself. If you decide to stack flat resistance, then Havoc and Ploys are an option. There was also Favor or Detect, but these skills will be sacrificing Myrrh's bulk. All in all, Harmonic Myrrh may be a bulkier flyer that sets up allies, but it still feels like flyers and Cavalier tanks are in a weird spot. Like, it might be better to commit to aggressive playstyles instead of trying to be mixed phase or even enemy phase focused. The last refine for this month goes to Hapi, and boy did she get some fun things. Hapi is a blue mage cavalier with high attack and res. Demonic Tome got a pretty big addition. First off, Hapi has times pulse for -1 cooldown if her specials at max value. Next, allies within 2 spaces and dragon or beast allies within 6 spaces can warp to a tile within 2 spaces of Hapi. If dragon or beast allies trigger Kanto and they're within 6 spaces, they can Kanto warp within 2 tiles of Hapi even if that's outside their Kanto range. Now, Hapi herself will get Force Raise 4 Kanto. She has a Slaying Tome with dragon and beast effectiveness. Hapi gets +6 attack and res and +5 speed and defense in combat. Last, she gets 7 flat DR. Good lord, so Hapi essentially got the unique warp/rescue for dragons and beasts that dual Hapi got earlier this year. She does have the regular guidance warp for warping for any allied type, but the 6 range warp is crazy stuff. Even crazier is the 6 range rescue, which is what Legendary Sakura enables. Unlike Sakura or dual Hapi, this refine will not give allies Kanto. They need to find their own Kanto effects like Myrrh. Still, this is an incredibly strong effect. If you like beasts and dragons, you can pull off some really long range hit and run tactics. Now, that's not all Hapi gets. For the refine, she gets 20 true damage like the others. For Hapi and allies within 3 rows or columns, Hapi gets +10 stats in combat while allies get +5. Everyone will get a free follow-up attack, pre-impulses -1 instant cooldown, and they heal 7 HP after combat. Okay, so on top of the unique dragon and beast warping, Hapi has really good support effects for allies. She hands out a follow-up and healing sustain along with +5 stats, and then you get -1 instant cooldown. If you've been keeping track, Hapi herself will get 3 cooldown from this weapon. That's pretty nice considering the lack of cooldown perks for mage cows. Combine a special proc with effective damage on beasts and dragons, and Hapi's definitely very happy with this refine. In terms of builds, Hapi can now pre-charge 3 cooldown specials like Magic Light. That would give her a full deer piercing special, and she can nuke those dragons and beast enemies. If you're afraid of Scowl or you want a budget option, Glimmer is fine. Hapi does have decent res though, so she may be able to out-res dragons and their Scowl effects. If you want to stack more resistance, then Hapi can go with skills like Attack and Res Aria, Slayer Fire Mirror, and Crystalline Water. Hapi could run Ploy these skills herself, but sadly no Havoc or Discord options. As a replacement, Shackle is totally fine, and gives good true damage as well. To top it off, Hapi can use the new Attack and Res Hone Cavalry skills, Hone Assault for 50% piercing or good old Inside Hone for extra stats. Shackle plus Hone's a pretty solid combat and support setup. If you want to proc higher cooldown specials, you could run Quick and Pulse to get access to Astra or Dragon Fang. Logic could also work if you apply penalties, although you can't continuously chain this without other cooldown effects. Actually, Emblem Mart could work here. For the other specials, Hapi can't instantly ready AoEs, but she has times pulse to get there faster. You could run Ice Wall or Frost Moon. Ice Wall or Logic would be Hapi's 40% tier options. I think she could tank other mages just fine, but everyone else is going to target her very low base defense stats, so don't expect too much. It's a risk, but if you want to go for the special proc on a follow-up attack, then Conjuring Breath is a relatively new cooldown option for mage cows. It's another way to get anti-healing as well. Now besides Shackle and Hones for support, Hapi can utilize Shadow Assist skills to reposition or smite allies in, then rescue them with her new refine. Hapi can also attack first to set up things like smoke debuffs, then warp allies in to finish the job. If you want to buff, Detect, Favor, and Link skills are all options. Since Hapi is stacking cooldown, Favor would be real nice to actually just charge those 4 or 5 cooldown specials without fighting. She might not have an extra action, but Hapi can buff allies and then bring them back, so definitely a viable user of these types of B skills. In conclusion, Hapi's refine pretty much copies her ult, kind of like Malice and Myrrh, but Hapi's Beast and Dragon Rescue effects are much rarer. If you like those types of units and you need help nuking them when they're enemies, then Hapi's kind of the perfect unit for the job. She also provides a good amount of support to any class type, so very good refine all around. That will be it for the update 10.0 refines. We have definitely entered a new era of refines, kind of like the new heroes getting introduced. The era of no activation conditions is here apparently. Slap on 20 true damage, 7 to 15 flat DR, and call it a day. Up next, I'm going to be going over the Book 10 banner with Chosen Alphons and the 3 Houses units. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.